Looking to improve your life, brush up on your personal growth techniques? You are in the right place. Welcome to Life's Little Lessons with your host, author of Designing Your Own Destiny, Kevin A. Dunlap.
Hello, everybody. This is Kevin Dunlap with Life's Little Lessons, and today we have another special guest. Also comes from all the way down from Australia. Actually, she's from Orange, New South Wales, Australia. How we actually met was she actually has a Facebook group page that she's having going on for over 3 years now, and I post regularly on her page. I know sometimes we interject and we post on similar posts, and I believe we've even had some interaction on a couple of posts as well. So we met online. This is our first time actually meeting, well, virtually, not in person, but virtually. And she's been a wonderful person. I cannot wait to bring you to your attention. Her name is Vanessa Talbot. I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. And Vanessa, welcome to our show today.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
So
nice intro.
Now, is your last name Talbot or like Talbot, like it's French?
Talbot.
Talbot. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Talbot. Yeah.
And Vanessa, tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what is it you do, and why is it that you do it.
So what I do in life now is I work with coaches and change makers in getting them known so that they can, step into the spotlight and actually attract the clients to them. So that's the main work that I do now. I work with anyone who has a message to get out there and transform the world, or at least transform and help other people with. So that's what I do right now.
And how did you get into doing something like that?
Oh, really interesting. I was working in the mining industry, of all places, Kevin, the mining industry.
Okay.
I had a big company in the mining industry with my then husband. But of course, when we got divorced, he got all the company and I was sitting here going, what am I going to do? How am I going to stay home on my country property? I didn't want to go and do a 9-to-5 job. So it was all about finding a way to be able to work from home, but still bring in decent income, because I was used to having good income with the mining industry. So I wanted the same thing. So I just happened to be reading a sort of holistic type of magazine one day, and there was an ad in it that said, be a life coach. And I'm like, what's a life coach? But that sounds interesting. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to stay at home to do that. Rang up, found out the information and signed up that day. So I started out as a life coach and then shifted into working with the coaches and change makers themselves. And that came from having a celebrity client and him showing me all the things that he did to get out and get known and increase his profile. So that's how the shift happened.
Yeah, and you've been doing that for how many years now?
I've been coaching for around 8 years since I first walked into my first coach training class when I joined the coaching school. So about 8 years, but I've probably just been working with the coach and change makers for about 3 or 4. So I started out with just coaching women in the personal development field and then switched over into the coaching, working with coaches and change makers.
Because when you're working with a coach instead of a regular client, the coach is already aware of, hey, you need to get help somewhere else, and they're more open-minded than just a regular.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. But the reason that I did shift over was because at the time I was working with a celebrity client, because of the amount of hours I had up as a coach, I was also a trainer and mentor at Australia's largest coach training facility. And what was happening was a lot of the student coaches were going through, but there was a really small percentage of them that were actually able to turn it into a full-on business. Most of them couldn't. And because I was spending all this time mentoring and training them on their coaching skills, so we were producing really good coaches that couldn't create businesses out of their skills. And I thought, what can I do to change this? And when I was working with a celebrity client at the same time and saw what he was doing, I just thought, these coaches just need to get known. Nobody knows who they are. They get known and they'll bring in clients. And that's how I actually switched over into that. It was that sort of awakening that the reason they're not be able to build their businesses is because nobody knows who they are. So therefore they're not getting the clients that they need.
Okay. So you're helping them build their visibility and also build their credibility.
Absolutely. So when we talk about profile building, people think, oh, is that just your, your name or your picture on social media? No, it's not. Your profile is your presence, whether it be online or offline. So it's very much about building that presence so more people know who you are and what it is that you do and how you can help them. So that is your profile. It's your platform. In author speak, we call it your platform. So if I work with authors, we work on their platform. Coaches, it's your visibility or your profile. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, when you're working with coaches, do you suggest that they become very specialized or stay kind of broad and generalized?
I suggest, in fact, it is essential to have high visibility and to really get known, that you get known for one thing, meaning your special zone of genius. So if you look at Louise Hay, it was, heal your life with affirmations. That was her big one thing. Tony Robbins comes in as personal power. Nike, that was their one thing, just do it, sports and fitness in that sense. So it is very much about being known for that one thing. Now, your one thing might be a little bit broader than others, but you've still got to have that tag, that logo, that one thing that people associate with you, and then you can start getting visibility.
Okay, because I know, like at the time of this recording, I'm actually writing my third book, and I don't know if I think I may have mentioned it a couple of times on your Facebook group. It's called the Winner's Code, and the subtitle is Secrets of the Winner's Mindset. So in the book, I came up with 8 different mindsets. One is a winner's mindset; the other 7 are not, and I'm deliberately promoting that book. Having my own let me call it my own lingo inside the book, just so I can use that on so many different kinds of platforms. And so my second book was a lot more broad than this. With this third book, I was coming up with, I want to be very, very specific. So I'm known as the mindset guy, or I'm known as the
Yes,
mindset guy.
exactly. And that's what you're aiming for. You're aiming to get known as the whatever it is. And when I start working with a lot of people, they come in and they think, well, I'll just be known as the life coach. Sorry, that one doesn't work. You've got to be a little bit more specific than that. So, yeah, one thing is where you start, that one thing.
And you kind of mentioned at the very beginning as well that you started off as a life coach, but in particular helping women. Not. I'm sure if the occasional man came across you, you would probably either redirect him to somebody else or you still take him on. But your main focus was women, probably women with certain kinds of challenges or issues that they were facing.
Yes. And so that's where I started out, because that's just where I thought I would want to be. And like anyone who becomes a life coach in some form, we're used to having people turn to us. So I was always the one where people would turn and, come to you for advice and stuff like that. So that's a classic sign that you're made to be a life coach, is if out there in real life, everyone's always coming to you for advice and your thoughts or for help. So that was the case. And yeah, I just thought, well, I'm just going to work with women. But I was told then by my mentor, just working with women isn't a niche. You're going to have to niche down. And I really struggled in those early days to niche or discover my one thing. It wasn't until I worked out that I wanted to help coaches and change makers become mini celebrities or big celebrities, whatever it is that they want, really get known for that one thing in their field, that my business actually really started to grow. So when it was just playing around with just trying to work women, yes, I got clients, but the business didn't really take off until I really defined my one thing and then really got out there with it. So.
Okay, and that's good advice for those of you that are looking to become coaches. Getting that one thing is very important. So, because if you are too generalized, or because I go to networking meetings all the time, and they always say, "Well, who are you looking for this week?" And they say, "Well, everybody's my client." I go, "No, if you're that generalized, you nobody's going to want to work with you, because there's is anybody with skin that, like, well, no, you want let's go into somebody that's suffering from skin cancer. Okay, now that's getting a little bit more niche.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, when I first started out, I just thought, well, anyone who wants to come to me will be my client. So as you pointed out, I did work with some men as well. Most of the clients were women, but I did work with some men. And I work with a different range of stuff as well. I know some of the men I worked with were going through a divorce, for example. What I could have done was just to find down and being the coach who helps men through their divorces. But then I was helping women through their life issues and all that sort of stuff, and not really getting known for anything in particular.
Mm-hmm. Because now when you get more niche or niche down, then you can create different kinds of lead magnets or material
Yes.
that's very specific to them, and that's and even in your advertising that speaks their language, the problem that they're facing.
Yeah, exactly. It's so much easier to speak and be able to connect with a target market when you're really narrowed down than trying to speak to everyone is really difficult. So if you just break it down to one segment and just see how much easier it is to just speak to that one segment for your marketing, you'll see the difference. And that's one of the first exercises I get my clients to do when they're still out here in Broadland,
Mm-hmm.
is try and speak to everyone. Now just choose one little segment and try and speak to them. And they really see the difference in the shift.
Yeah. Yeah, and because out here in America, sometimes what they call, if you're doing a wide range of people, we call that the shotgun approach. I mean, you
Ah,
shooting a gun and the bullets are going everywhere. But if you're going in with a sniper rifle, and that's a lot. They both achieve a similar result, but they had completely different techniques. Because a sniper rifle is very pinpoint. One minute point. So.
exactly. Well, here I call it, to my people, the spray and then pray approach.
Yeah. Um, so you were in the mining business and you switched over to the coaching business 8 years ago, and now that you're coaching coaches, what is your big takeaway from this? I mean, I know you did that because you were wanting to help people that are already in the helping field, in the helping arena. So what is your win for doing that? Is it seeing them actually becoming better coaches, or becoming more niche coaches by helping other people? Is that like your big takeaway from this?
So most people want to become a coach because they want to help others, firstly. And secondly, for a lot of people, a huge percentage of people, the reason they want to become a coach is because there's a lifestyle factor associated with it as well. I don't have to go and work for someone else. I don't have to go and do a 9-to-5 job. I can, work from wherever I want, do my own hours. I can even travel. We can coach remotely and we can travel. We don't have to be stuck in one place. So for a lot of people, there's that factor as well. So my thing that I get is watching people be able to create the lives that they actually want through their coaching businesses. So that's a plus for me. I mean, obviously the big plus for me is why I got into coaching in the first place. And that's for that same reason, for me to be able to live the lifestyle I want through coaching. So my why comes first, and then secondary is the why of my clients. And for most people, that's their whys. I want to help people, and then I want to be able to create a lifestyle that the coaching business enables me to have.
Right, because mine is more on the business side. I want to help people either scale their business, or more importantly, to switch from the 9-to-5 corporate job to become the entrepreneur. That may take time. I don't tell them to go quit their jobs. So for them to do that, because now they are building their own lifestyle. And a lot of that, because I talk about the winner's mindset. A lot of that comes from your whole confidence of being able to do something. So like you're helping the coaches, I like to help those people say, hey, I never thought about being an entrepreneur. And now say 2 or 3 years later, they have their own thriving business. Maybe they even have employees at this point in time, and they're making a difference in the community and in their own lives.
Yeah, it's just giving people what it is that they truly want for their lives, isn't it? Right? Whether, they're coaches and I'm helping them create that. Interestingly enough, a lot of the coaches as well have been in 9-to-5 jobs, escaped that, and want to build a non-9-to-5 job, obviously through coaching. So very similar. People have the same reasonings, the same whys.
Right. Well, 'cause I know for me, I made the transition from corporate, in this case, corporate America, but I'll just say corporate, the big corporation, to entrepreneurship when I got, we called it at that time being downsized in
Mm.
1999 when I was working on the Y2K project. And then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden they said, well, you finished your project. We don't need you anymore. Goodbye. And enough said in this time on enough other shows, so I'm not going to go too much detail here. But at that point in time, I said I would never work for full time for corporate America again. And now it's been 19 years, or going on 20 years, or 19 years, and I still have not done the full time corporate America. So I was like, you know what, I don't want to do that. I want to be my own boss. I want to um, come and go as I please. And if I need more income, I just go figure out how to either bring in
How
more
to do it.
clients or create a new program and make it evergreen, or make
Yes.
it so where it could be seen or any time to where it's not month or time specific. And
Yeah. Mm.
so now I'm sure if I were to ask you this now, even when you ran the mining company or you're co-owner of the mining company, you were still the boss. You weren't working a 9-to-5 job. Or you weren't maybe working 9 to 5, but you weren't at the
I was,
somebody else.
yeah, I actually wasn't working 9-to-5. The mining industry, as I said, was our company in the mining industry. We served mines all over the world. And so being the boss of it, so to speak, I had 40 plus employees under me that I would bring in from other countries as well, a lot of them. So I was the boss. And in that role, I usually just worked in the afternoons, very much like I do now. I usually would just come into the office at 12 noon and then leave in the afternoon at 4 or 5. I still do the same thing with my coaching business. I've never actually worked a 9-to-5 job. I grew up on a farm where my parents were, obviously living that farm life. So there's no 9-to-5 there.
No, it's 5 to 5.
Well, certain seasons are, while others are a bit more relaxed. So I've never been in corporate. I've never had family members in corporate. So it isn't a lifestyle that I've ever experienced. But by Jiminy's, I've had a lot of my clients that have actually come from that field, burnt out, really wanting to escape that, and then just create a business that enables them to work in the way that they want to. And that's what we're aiming for. And I think you're on the same path with your people as well.
Yeah, so well, because the people that come to me are usually are frustrated with their job. They want to do something different, and sometimes they've hit glass ceilings. Sometimes they're just tired of what they're doing. Sometimes they're even just tired of having somebody tell them what to do.
Mm.
Or they, because I mean, a lot of people at different classes that I take. These are like week-long classes, and they're taking half of their year's vacation just to come to that class. And I say, hey, let's go to this one. Well, I can't take the time off. Like, I get it because I have been 9-to-5 before, but to me, it's like, just reset your schedule. I mean, just do something different. I mean, but
yeah, it is interesting. As I said, I've noticed very different way they look at the world. They're a lot more structured from being in that 9-to-5, and to someone like myself or others who have never been in 9-to-5, where it's just like, oh, I'll just go to work for a couple of hours today, and then I'll do some tonight when the kid's in bed asleep and whatever. So it's just two kind of different lifestyles, and I find the 9-to-5 are more craving, or like you said, they're getting frustrated. And so they want to be able to create things for them their way.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. And then it's about building their confidence and their ability to do that. And
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about what does your future hold, and what is it that you're looking to do in the next, say, 6, 12, 24 months?
Yeah, look, I'm a huge animal fan, and so one of the reasons why I wanted to not go and work a 9-to-5, other than the fact I'd never done it in my life anyway, and I didn't want to feel trapped. I had this idea that 9-to-5 was trapping me. But one of the other things that I'm really passionate about is my wildlife caring. So I live on a country property out in New South Wales, country New South Wales in Australia. And on this country property, I have horses, and I also do wildlife caring. So all the Aussie animals. So I've always got kangaroos here, or Australian birds and whatnot. So part of my vision for actually creating the coaching business was making sure I could stay home and be there and still do my other passion, which is the wildlife caring. So for me, what's I'm moving my business towards is to become more and more automated as well. Though people still come to me, I will have to admit, they do still come to me wanting me, but I'm finding ways to make less time of me, but still give people what they want. So that's what I'm focusing on, so that I can actually even increase even more time for me with doing more of the wildlife caring, and also campaigning for animal welfare and that as well. So I want to get more into that. I always said, when I was a little girl, when I retire and I no longer work, I'm going to be a full-time animal campaigner. I'm going to get out there and, protest for them and everything like that. And that's still there. So that's where I'm actually heading, making sure that the business all is completely automated, runs on its own, has its entire team in place. I've got quite a few team members already, but growing that even more, so that I can grow old and get out there and do all the animal campaigning and raising awareness about animals that I want. So that is where I'm heading. I'm not particularly sure it will be within 24 months, but it's always the aim of the game for me.
Okay, and I'm actually along a similar path. I'm doing some of the coaching stuff like that, but to me, I don't think that's necessarily, like you just said, it's not the best use of my time. But if I can create product when I create the products and stuff that other people can use, then I'll be really capitalizing my time, and I'll be affecting more people. Because then they're watching the videos, taking the courses, taking whatever at their own leisure. And maybe they have that 9-to-5 job and they want to do it at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I mean, and 7, 8 o'clock at night, your time in Australia is different than 7 or 8 than my time here in Las Vegas. So it's, so by doing that, I know I can affect more people.
Yeah. So I've been phasing out the one-on-one, and bringing more and more people into membership programs and that, where they do get weekly access to me, but they've got, I've got many in front of me rather than just one-to-one. So within 12 months, I will not be doing one-to-one anymore. I am completely phasing that out. So that's
increasing the price, so you're only working with very dedicated.
Yeah, I probably won't even do that. I'm probably just completely phasing out the one-on-one and really just having people. My group programs and my membership areas have been really effective for the people in them, because they do actually get a lot of time with me. But I'm, as I said, in front of, 10, 20 people at a time rather than just one. So that's how I'm shifting mine. And that frees up more of my time, which is what I want, so that I can get out and do more work with my horses and my animals.
Right, because I know you've got a cause that you're working for, and that's very noble of you. I mean, it doesn't matter what your cause is; it's what you are passionate about, and nobody should judge you on, hey, you do this, why don't you do that? No, you do what you want. The other person does what they want.
Yeah, and it's just what you want to do and what you're passionate about. And obviously, I'm passionate about coaches and getting them known. But my longer term passion that's been there since childhood is, of course, working with the animals and saving the animals. So, so my coaching business continues to lead me to doing more and more and more of that.
Now, let me ask you this. This is kind of going back to something you already mentioned earlier. You said when you got your life coaching, originally got your life coaching, and then you had all your classmates that were doing it as well. Why is it that you think most of them, or many of them, never went anywhere with it? Or what do you think was the main? Because I'm sure that's why the coaches are coming to you,
yeah, one of the few that have lasted till the end.
Or they're the ones that realized they needed help to
So when I first joined got into coaching and joined up as a student coach, my class had about 31, 32, 33 people in it. And within 3 years, out of those 31, 32, 33 people, there was only 3 of us actually left.
Wow.
Yeah. And now I think there's 2 of us, 8 years down the track. So there's a lot of dropout along the way. And there's a couple of things that I think, a couple of reasons why I think this happens. The first one is, it's like running a marathon. You know, you get your dropouts along the way. So it's he who is focused the most on what they want and also the most resilient to the ups and downs. So whether you're on a coaching journey or an entrepreneurship journey, there's so many ups and downs. You've got to be able to ride that. And a lot of people, the minute things get hard, they'll actually retreat back to the 9-to-5 job or whatever it was that they were doing before, because it was safe, it was easier. In the coaching field, you know, when you're relying on one-on-one clients, as so many people do when they first start out, that can get very up and down. You can have a rush and then you can have a drought. It's exactly like farming.
Yeah.
Right now, we're in a drought here on my farm. And, you know, whatever business you're in, and if you're in entrepreneurship or coaching, those droughts can happen. So you've got to be able to push on through. And I think a lot of people in the early days, they drop out because of that reason. They couldn't get the clients, they weren't making the income, it was too hard, and it's just easier to go back to something stable and safe. So it is resilience, and also really tapping into the focus on your bigger why. Why are you actually on this entrepreneurship journey? What is it all about? And it may be more than I just want to get out of my 9-to-5 job. You know, what is the bigger rise? For me, it's always, I want to stay home here with my family and my animals. That's far more important to me than going off to the safety of a 9-to-5 job. So
I'm going to
it's
actually say the presumed safety of the 9-to-5 job, because that 9-to-5 job is not necessarily safe.
Yeah, you're right. They presume safety, but to them, it's, you know, they've always been there. It seems like the safer route, especially if the new route starts to get too hard. And it's like, oh, this is harder than I expected. I'll jump back. So that's what I saw actually happen. And those that made it to the end seemed to be the most focused and committed to actually making it work. So when I got into it, because I was so dead set, I'm not going to go out and work a 9-to-5 job. I have to make this work. I have to. I had no backup plan as well. So I noticed those that have got the backup plans, you know, oh, if it doesn't work, I'll just go back to teaching or whatever. Those that have got the backup plan, they can fall out and withdraw very easily. Those that didn't have the backup plan, and interesting enough, 2 survivors 8 years later are the 2 in that class that didn't have a backup plan, me and the other guy. He had no backup plan. He had a small family. He had no option. It had to work, and he got his working really quickly because of that. So that's something else that I have watched that I've found quite interesting.
Well, there's, because if I want to, hopefully I am remembering the story right. There was talking about when Cortes first came over to the Americas. In this case, I believe it was down in South or Central or South America. And they were fighting the natives. What he ended up doing is he scuttled or actually burned all of his ships. He says, there is
backup plan.
There is no go. We move forward or we die.
Yes.
There is no retreat.
That's what I found. If, you know, for me, there was no retreat. It had to work. I had no income or anything. It had to work. And I was not going to go and get a part-time or a full-time job in town. Just simply couldn't work with me having to be here on the farm and look after all the animals that I already had. I just couldn't possibly do it. So it's like that, burning the ships. I had no backup. It had to work. And the other dude was the same. So that I found really interesting, watching that particular class of mine.
Now, what about your clients when they come to, the new coaching clients come to you? Are you suggesting something similar, or it depends on what their motivation and dedication?
Depends what their motivation is. So I've got some at the moment that obviously are still doing a bit of part-time work, like they might take on management consulting or something. So they've removed themselves from the 9-to-5, but they've become contracting, so they can still work their own hours while they're actually building their business. Some have completely no backup plan, and they're in there as well. So it comes down to your why, your motivation as well. But I would say that if you have no backup plan, life will be, you know, especially when you're building your business, it can be tough. It can be very up and down. So you have to be able to ride those ups and downs as well.
And had that strong enough why, that strong enough passion
The
as to.
strong enough why. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's my biggest thing is whenever I'm talking to a new client is, what is your why? Why do you want to do this? Because your why is what's going to get you up at 4 o'clock in the morning because you're in Vegas and you want to make sure that person on the East Coast at 7 o'clock in the morning, at 7:30 in the morning, you're reaching them before they're going to their 9 to 5 job. So your why has to be so strong that you will put yourself in uncomfortable situations, or you are going to be put in uncomfortable situations where you know you have to persevere. So that
Y-
why.
Yeah, and I mean, with what I teach, which is high visibility, you have to get used to being really uncomfortable because it's not comfortable being visible. I can assure you of that. Um, so you have to get really, really honed into your why so that you can be uncomfortable.
And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is just start putting yourself out there. Even at the beginning, if it's just on a small amount, on a small basis, stepping your foot in the water or something. But it's like for me, when I first did this first podcast, because I've done maybe 60 of these now,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got 52 that have been launched. So I've done about 60 shows. My first 4 shows were all done within 2 days. And I was actually episode number 4 that I launched was actually my very first episode. So it was me going out there and doing these shows, and I was nervous as heck. I didn't know what was going to happen with this show. I mean, who am I to be interviewing people? So, but now I know I'm now, here it is, almost 10 months later since the beginning of the show. I'm almost primarily only interviewing people outside of North America. I mean, you're in Australia. The lady I just got off the phone with this morning, she's in New York, but she's originally from Moscow.
Mm.
Yesterday, 2 days ago, I was on somebody else's show that was from Auckland, New Zealand. So it's putting myself out there. Now I'm meeting all these phenomenal people. I mean, you and I wouldn't have met without the advice of somebody else. I know you don't know this story, but this is all part about making yourself visible. And they were saying, go out there, join as many, many of the Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups as well that are where your ideal client could be, and then
Mm-hmm.
just go and be visible. Post on comments and just get out there, not asking for anything in return, not saying, hey,
No.
come pay me, come on, and just go make yourself visible. and
Yes.
and that's what I mean. That's why you see me. That's why it was because of that challenge this one guy gave me, 5 or so weeks ago, why I ended up joining your group, and I met meeting yourself and so many other people because of this. I never would have done that 2 months ago. I never would have even thought about that.
Yeah. And
Just
that's the difference between the coaches who stay at home, do you know what I mean? Just waiting for an email from a possible client compared to those who are getting out and being seen and connecting with others. Connection's huge in our field. Like, one thing I always say to my people is, if you want to go down the podcast line, as in having your own podcast, it's a great way to connect with people that you probably would never have connected with anyway. And those people will sometimes open other doors for you as well. So yeah, exactly. So the more people that you get in your circle and that you can connect with, you can see how that then expands your circle, expands your world, and then enables more people to talk about you as well, and to open some of those doors for you as well. So that's been kind of the secret to my success, is being really clued in to, I need to connect, even though I'm an introvert and a hermit. So it was tough for me, but it was about the need to really get out and connect with others.
Yes. And because I mean, I'm going to give a case in point for those of you that have been following the show for a long time. Go back and watch episode number 9. I think it was number 9. It was Galina Lapina, a Russian woman that's now and is now American. Now at the age of 32, she became financially independent. She's a multimillionaire. She introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Pavel Verdnik, which is my Moscow interview from like episode number 49. He introduced me to this other lady named Anna Leonti, which is the lady I interviewed this morning. I mean, I never would have known anything. I mean, those are all referrals of referrals.
Yes, exactly. And that's what happens. It's the ripple, or the little web that starts to get created.
Mm-hmm.
And Many coaches, unfortunately, don't create that web for themselves. They're just centering themselves in one place and then just concentrating and focusing on where am I going to get my next client from, so chasing clients. Well, I get mine to focus as much on connecting with people who may never become your client,
Yes.
as well as possible clients. So we have a wholeness to it, and that creates our web. Like you said, referrals happen.
Well, referrals happen. I mean, and there's this game that's called the 6 Degrees of Bacon. Have you ever heard of
Yes,
this game?
I have.
Okay, for those of you out there that don't know what that is, it is come up with the name of any movie star of basically any genre at any single time, and within 6 movies, you'll connect it to somebody that was in a movie with Kevin Bacon. And you'd be surprised just how interesting that is. Like one of the easiest ones to do is Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg's like into Kevin Bacon, and you can get to her within 1 degree of separation. You can call it 2 movies. So Whoopi Goldberg was with Demi Moore in Ghost. Demi Moore was with Kevin Bacon and A Few Good Men. Done. And the reason I bring that up is I don't know who you know, Vanessa, and who you do not know, but you can name anybody on this planet, and within 6 degrees, you will find a way to connect them.
Yeah. I had fun doing this with Game of Thrones because I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan,
Okay.
and totally in love with the character Jon Snow. And I realized that I was only a few degrees away from Jon Snow. So that really excited me because I have a client who's a film director, and he's worked with Guy Pearce. And Guy Pearce is the husband of the woman who plays Alessandra the Red Witch on Game of Thrones. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm really close to Jon Snow.
Well, I mean,
It's under siege.
I look at it as Saddam Hussein. I'm 3 degrees away from Saddam.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Because my little brother is he's a government employee in Washington D.C., which he has talked directly to the presidents of the United States, including George Bush Senior and Junior, and George Bush is Saddam Hussein. I mean,
Yeah, it's a fun game when you do it. So I said I did it with my daughter because she's a huge Jon Snow fan, and we were like, well, let's figure out how close we are. And then I was just thinking, hang on, so-and-so, my client, the film director, well, he's worked with Dut Dut, who's married to Dut Dut. It was great. And you could do that with just about anyone. I've done it with George Clooney, and I'm even closer with George Clooney. So it is a fun game for anyone. But you'll also then see how this spider web, this connecting, will start to work for you as a coach or an entrepreneur.
Exactly. Because you don't know who the people you know, and if that friend of yours trusts you, then that could easily become a connection or a connection to a connection.
Absolutely.
And here's another thing, and this has just happened to me. And I know we're running long. We're already 6 minutes or 7 minutes past. And whenever I'm going to say this as well, as an entrepreneur, as a coach, or what have you, when an opportunity comes your way, say yes, then figure out the how.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And one of the things is I'm about to become an international published columnist. And that makes me like, wow, really? I go, yeah. And one of my friends, she's also kind of she's a client as well. She lives up in Canada, and she's an editor for a magazine. We've been good friends for 3 years, going on 4 years now. And she just contacted me like 3 days ago. Says, Kevin, says, I don't know. She knows I blog and stuff. Goes, Kevin says, I don't know why I've never asked you this. I'm the editor of this magazine in Canada. You want to write a column for it? I'm like, sure. So later today or tomorrow, this weekend, I'm going to write up a column that's going to be in her next quarterly publication. So now I'm going to become an international columnist.
Yeah, the success of your business, particularly in with my coaches, is who you're forming connections with. It's that circle that you're creating yourself. And if only more people really cottoned onto that, then they would get better at building their connections.
Yes. Well, now, Vanessa, since we are a little bit over time right now, if somebody wanted to contact you or wanted to connect with you while you're still doing the coaching or while you're going to be launching some programs in the near future, what is the best way for them to get a hold of you?
So if you're on Facebook, you can pop and ask to join my group. It is called Coaches, Experts, Change Makers, Step into the Spotlight. When you just type up coaches, it comes up comes up in the drop-down menu. So that's easy to find. The other place is just to go to my website, which is very simple, vanessatalbot.com.
And that's spelled just like it sounds, Vanessa, Vanessa, Talbot, T as in Tom, ALBOT.com.
Exactly. So really simple.
And I see your website here because it says start stepping in the spotlight on the website. And in the upper right-hand corner, it has a little contact thing. So I'm sure you can contact her by email. And that way, then you guys can start talking, possibly do something like what we're doing right now through a Zoom chat. Because I know you live in Australia. I live in the States. And there's a huge time difference. It's Friday afternoon, our time right now. It's Saturday morning, your time. So if you want to do a one-on-one communication, then you're going to have to do figure some way to make it work with the time difference.
Well, good old international booking calendars and all that make life easy, and you can see booking times in your time. So that makes it really easy these days, doesn't it? We don't have to try and work it out.
For this show, I used to try to work it out, and then a guy that was from Malaysia, currently living in Melbourne. He hasn't been launched yet. By the time this show gets launched, his will be launched. And I interviewed him while he was vacationing or doing holiday. I don't know what you guys call it in Australia, over in California. So we're in the same time zone. But yeah, I mean, he's the one that turned on to me to a very low cost calendar program called Calendly, CLENDLY.com. There are others, but yes, I mean, if I put down, hey, I'm available between Pacific time, noon until 5 p.m., and then her time, it will auto convert to your time zone. So it would say to you, okay, it's available for like say 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. or whatever it is.
Yes, that's what they do. So they are great in this modern age, because as coaches and change makers, we don't just work locally with local people like we might have done in the old days before this digital world. My clients are all over the world. My first clients were actually 7 in America. They were my very first as a new coach in Australia. So this international digital world we have will enable you to connect and communicate and work with people anywhere. It's fantastic.
And this is so true, because you can use video conferencing like Zoom or Skype, which are both free. Well, the Zoom, as long as you're under an hour, are both free. And then if you want to say, well, I want to do this on my telephone, well, then there's this thing called WhatsApp. And now you can call them up on the telephone. No long distance carriers. No, doesn't cost any minutes. It just costs you Wi-Fi time, unless you're on someone else's Wi-Fi.
Yep, so it's certainly easy for us.
Yes. I mean, there's no reason why you shouldn't be successful as long as you're putting yourself out there and being visible, like Vanessa says. So,
exactly.
Well, any last words before we say goodbye to everybody?
No, thank you very, very much. I'm hoping everyone got something out of the conversation. If anything, and you are setting out as a coach and change maker and wanting to gain some visibility, pull yourself back first and really concentrate on what is that one thing that I want to get known for, and then you'll fly.
And also know your why. Why do you want to be known for that?
Know your why, yes.
So everybody, if you like the show, please go ahead and leave a comment below. If this is on YouTube, you can definitely subscribe to our channel. On iTunes, you can also subscribe to ourselves there. Please feel free to comment. Again, don't forget to go to vanessatalbot.com. She's got some great ways you can contact her. As always, I always give away a free gift. You can go to my website, because I'm also a business coach as well. But she's a coach's coach. I'm a business coach. You can go to kevinadunlap.com/free gift and get the 8 steps to achieving any goal. And also just look down below in the description for how to get a hold of Vanessa or even myself. So again, Vanessa, I want to say thank you for being on our show today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Life's Little Lessons with your host, author of Designing Your Own Destiny, Kevin A. Dunlap. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit kevinadunlap.com, facebook.com/kevinadunlap.author, and on Twitter @KevinADunlap. We'll catch you on the next episode of Life's Little Lessons.